The night he hit me, I wasn't surprised. I was surprised that I had seen it coming for months and stayed anyway. This is the story of how I married a man my best friend warned me about and what it cost me. I didn't fall in love with Dennis. I fell in love with the version of him that was designed for me. And the scariest part? The red flags weren't hidden. I had been warned for years. I just didn't think they were meant for me. Dennis is my best friend Daphne's older brother. For years, Daphne never stopped talking about him. Not in a proud way, in a warning way. She would tell me stories like they were survival tips. One night, we were on my couch eating takeout, and she said, "He's charming when he wants something, but once he gets it, he turns cold." I laughed because it sounded dramatic, and she didn't laugh back. "He's a player," she said. "He has more red flags than anyone I've ever met. He gets angry for no reason. He has issues, real ones." Then she paused, looked straight at me and said, "I would never marry a man like that. Too unstable, too unpredictable, too complicated." She used the word narcissist once. I remember rolling my eyes internally because people throw that word around. But then she added something that stuck with me. "He doesn't love women, he conquers them." At the time, I listened like it was gossip, like it was entertainment. And I remember thinking, I feel sorry for the poor girl who will end up with him. Then one day, as I was about to start an interview for a new, highly paid job, there he was, sitting on the interview panel. Dennis. I froze. He was supposed to be working in a foreign country. Daphne never told me he was back. For a second, I forgot my own name. One of the recruiters smiled politely. "Whenever you're ready." Dennis stood up and extended his hand. "Dennis," he said. His voice was calm, controlled. I shook his hand, and I swear his grip was just a little too steady, not aggressive, just certain. And he wasn't anything like I had imagined. Daphne forgot to mention how handsome he was. But what really threw me off was this. He didn't look chaotic. He didn't look unstable. He looked polished, like he had mastered the art of being harmless. During the interview, he watched me the way people watch a puzzle they plan to solve. And every time I answered well, he gave a small nod, like approval. At one point, another interviewer asked something sharp, almost challenging. Dennis jumped in smoothly. "She's already answered that. Let's move forward." It felt like protection, like alliance, like he was on my side. That's the thing about certain men. They don't seduce you with compliments. They seduce you by making you feel chosen. When he smiled, I felt chosen. That was my first mistake. The interview went incredibly well. I got the job immediately. No anxious waiting, no uncertainty. I walked out of that building shaking with adrenaline, smiling at my own reflection in the elevator. A new chapter, a better salary, a fresh start. And the best part? Dennis was going to be my direct partner. "Of course," I told Daphne. She didn't look excited. She didn't ask a million questions. She just stared at me and said, "Be careful." I laughed nervously. "It's a job, Daphne." She leaned in, lowered her voice. "No, it's him." I remember saying something stupid like, "People change." And she replied, "Not that kind of person." I started the job remembering all her warnings. I told myself I'd stay professional. I told myself I was too smart to get played. But as the weeks went by, Dennis proved to be the sweetest partner at work. He brought me lunch. Not in a flashy way, in a quiet, consistent way. One day he placed a bag on my desk and said, "You skipped breakfast." I blinked. "I didn't tell you that." He shrugged. "You look like you didn't." It sounds small, but small is exactly how it starts. He remembered details. He noticed changes. He'd say things like, "You're overthinking, I can tell. You carry more than you admit." He made me feel seen. And if you've ever felt unseen in your life, being seen feels like love. We started spending time together after work. At first, we talked about projects, then about life, then about everything. He asked questions that felt intimate but safe. What scares you? What do you want your life to look like in 5 years? What's something you never tell anyone? He mirrored me. If I said I valued loyalty, he valued loyalty. If I said I hated drama, he hated drama. If I said I wanted peace, he wanted peace too. It felt like destiny. But what it really was alignment by design. And slowly, a bubble formed. Me and him. A little us against the world. That's a mechanism. Isolation doesn't start with "don't see your friends." Isolation starts with "you don't need them, you have me." Daphne did not approve. She would text me, "Oh, please don't hang out with him alone. Please don't tell him personal things." And every time she did, Dennis would stay calm. Too calm. He'd say, "She's trying to control you. She hates that you're close to me. She doesn't want you to see me differently." I defended her at first, but he planted little seeds. And here's the dangerous part. He didn't say it like a villain. He said it like a therapist, like he was simply explaining. One night, Daphne called me, and I didn't pick up. I told myself I'd call back later. I didn't. Eventually, I stopped confiding in her. I started confiding in Dennis instead. About work, about my insecurities, about her. And slowly I believed him. That was my second mistake. One evening, everything shifted. We were hanging out as usual. I was on my phone. When I looked up, Dennis grabbed my face and kissed me. Hungry, intense, possessive. For a second, I should have pulled away, but I didn't. It felt exciting, forbidden. And I kissed him back. That kiss opened Pandora's box. Soon, we were sleeping together. We didn't tell anyone. I didn't want Daphne to judge me. And Dennis said he wasn't ready for a relationship anyway. That sentence should have been a warning, because it meant he wanted access without responsibility. Months passed, and the relationship became addictive. Not stable, addictive. Some days he was soft, attentive, warm. Those were the days I felt high. Other days he was distant, cold, unreadable. Those were the days I felt anxious. And I started working for the warmth. That's another mechanism. Intermittent reinforcement. When love is inconsistent, you don't relax. You chase. You perform. You shrink yourself into whatever you think will bring the warmth back. One day, he asked about my past relationships. At first, it sounded casual. So, how many serious relationships have you had? I answered normally. Then I mentioned an ex, and something changed in his eyes. His jaw tightened, his voice lowered. Why are you talking about him? It was just a story. Do you miss him? What? No. Then why are you smiling when you say his name? I stopped smiling immediately, confused. And he stood up so fast the chair scraped the floor. Then he threw a plate against the wall. It shattered. My whole body went still. He stared at me and said, "You're mine." I don't ever want to hear you talk about another man. And the truth? A part of me loved hearing that. I loved feeling claimed. I loved feeling wanted by him. And that's how the trap works. They mix fear with affection. So your body doesn't know if it's danger or love. I didn't care about the broken plates. I cared about the attention. After that, the control crept in, not like a big announcement, like little concerns. Who is that texting you? Why do you need to go out tonight? That dress is a bit much. Do you really need those friends? He said it was love. He said it was protection. And I started explaining myself for everything. That's another mechanism. When you start justifying your existence, you're already losing. What started as secret meetings and stolen nights eventually led to a wedding. Not because it was healthy, but because I thought commitment would stabilize him. I thought love would heal him. I thought being his wife would make me safe. That's the fantasy a lot of women carry. If I love him enough, he'll change. But with men like Dennis, marriage doesn't soften them. It secures access. It locks the door from the inside. In public, Dennis was perfect. He held my hand, smiled at my friends, helped old ladies carry groceries. He was the kind of man people called a gentleman. And when people praised him, he looked humble. But in private, he would correct me, criticize me, humiliate me softly. You're too sensitive. You're overreacting. You always make everything dramatic. And if I cried, he'd say, "Here we go again." That's another mechanism. Gaslighting and emotional invalidation. They don't just hurt you, they teach you not to trust your own feelings. Every time I tried to confront him, the conversation would twist. Me. You hurt me last night. Him. I never said that. Me. You did. Him. Wow, so now you're calling me a liar? Me. That's not what Him. You always do this. You accuse me, then you cry, then I'm the bad guy. Me. I'm just trying to talk. Him. No, you're trying to control me. Suddenly I was the problem. Suddenly I was abusive. Suddenly I was crazy. That's Darvo. Deny. Attack. Reverse victim and offender. And it works. Because you leave the conversation confused, exhausted, questioning yourself. One evening during an argument, he hit me. Not repeatedly, just once, but the sound echoed louder than the pain. I wasn't shocked that he hit me. I was shocked that I saw it coming, and I stayed. That night, I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I just sat on the bathroom floor staring at my reflection. And I remember thinking, if I tell anyone, they'll say I should have listened. Shame is how abuse stays quiet. The next morning, I called Daphne. She answered on the second ring. I didn't know where to start, so I didn't. There was silence. And then I said it. You were right about Dennis. She exhaled slowly. Did he hit you? I froze. How do you know? Because that's who he is. There was another silence. And for the first time, I told the truth. Yes. And then the words came out before I could stop them. He's done it before. I had never told anyone. Not my friends, not my family, not even myself. Daphne didn't shout. She didn't blame me. She just said, "You have to get out of there." Then she said something I will never forget. You're not stupid. You're conditioned. And that sentence taught me something. Abuse isn't just violence, it's training. That same evening, Daphne came over. We packed in silence. Clothes, shoes, documents. Every drawer felt like evidence. At one point, I held my wedding photo in my hands, and I didn't feel nostalgia. I felt grief. Not for him, for the version of me that believed love was supposed to hurt. Then Dennis came home. He saw Daphne, and something shifted in the room. He smiled first, a charming smile. Daphne, dramatic as always. Then he looked at me, and the smile disappeared. His eyes narrowed. He tried to minimize it, tried to twist it, tried to make me question my own memory. I didn't hit you. You're exaggerating. You're turning my sister against me. Daphne didn't even argue. She just watched him. And standing next to her, I saw him through her eyes. Not charming, not intense, not passionate. Just angry, just unstable, just small. That's what narcissistic behavior looks like when the mask drops. Not powerful, pathetic. I didn't scream. I didn't argue. I didn't beg. I packed my things, and I left. Not because I suddenly became fearless, but because I finally became clear. The divorce was cold, administrative, final. And when it was over, I felt something I hadn't felt in years. Peace. He thought I wasn't enough. But the truth is, even the most powerful car looks useless in the hands of someone who doesn't know how to drive. I was never the problem. I just gave my worth to someone who couldn't handle it. And that was the last mistake I ever made.